welcome to the No Limit Podcast, also known as the Eddie and Any Show, here with Any Bull and, of course, the cult leader, No Limit Eddie. What's going on? And today, our episode is special. This episode will be held under extreme rules because we are with the one and only Homicidal,
Suicidal,
Genocidal,
Death-defying,
Sabu.
How are you, my man?
Let's go, man. I love it. How you feeling?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Feeling good?
We're doing pretty well. We're very happy to have you, bro.
Yeah, welcome to the No Limit Podcast.
Glad to be here.
We're two guys from Philly. We talked about that a little bit on Twitter. The first thing that we wanted to get into with you is, obviously, you were with ECW back in the early days, 1993, when they were at the ECW arena. What are some of your memories of Philadelphia and of that area, Swanson and Rittner in general?
Well, I remember that it was kind of dirty and stuff, that area of the town. But I had great memories. My best memory is the first match I had there against Taz. I remember that one the more than any of them.
Oh, wow.
What was the match against Taz?
I had just a regular match against Taz, and we went all over the building, and I got over that one night.
Oh, yeah. Was that when they brought you out with the mask on?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. So tell us a little bit more about that idea. Whose idea was that?
That was Paul Heyman's idea. I didn't like it. I only did it because he gave me a $500 bonus to do it. Otherwise, and so I only did it a couple of times because he didn't want to pay me every time. But I didn't want to do it. It was too much work. It got me tired before I ever got the mask off. And by the time I got in the ring, I was blown up.
Yeah. So you went to them
but
and
I
said
did
you
like
wanted to
the
change
effect it did. I did like the effect it had on the people. I just didn't like the extra hard work.
Yeah, that makes sense. But did you tell them you didn't want to do it anymore, or they were like, all right, it might not
they knew from day one that I didn't want to do it. I told them from day one I didn't want to do it. Because there's already a guy, I was working in FMW in Japan. There's a guy in Japan, Dr. Luther. He kind of acted like Hannibal Lecter and Silence of the Lambs. He wore a mask and acted like that. So I didn't want to look like I was copying him, but it was pretty close to it, so I didn't want to do it.
Oh, okay. Dr. Luther, that's the same Dr. Luther that's on All Elite right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, his character was a lot different back then, right?
Yeah, way different. He wore a mask and he wore a straight jacket. It was pretty cool. He chased people around. It was all right.
Now, in your time with ECW, I know that when they used to have street fights at the ECW arena, they would actually brawl outside. Were you ever involved in any of those outdoor brawls?
Well, once or twice I was. We fought through the parking lot and came back in the front door.
Yeah, so basically that area right there where you probably fought at, we've crossed that area our whole lives. Like we live close to there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally around the corner of my house, is pretty much.
Yeah, as a young kid, 93 when you debuted, we both weren't even born yet. We're both born in 96. Yeah, both born in 96. Yeah. Wow. But we both definitely attended some ECW events in the later years as young kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Right on. Well, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Making me feel old now.
You're not too old, man. You're in your 50s still.
Right on.
He's the new 20.
And you're looking great, honestly.
Seriously.
You ain't seen me with my shirt off. I'm pretty much out of shape. But anyways.
Oh, yeah. So after that, I wanted to kind of get into with you. How did you get into ECW? I was doing a little research. I know Todd Gordon was the one who actually brought you in. But tell us a little more about that.
Well, I was talking to Paul Heyman about doing this other company he was going to start, WWN, World Wrestling Network. So he had me come. He first wanted me to come do that. Then I called Todd Gordon because this guy told me to call him. He's a sucker and you can get money out of him. So I called him and said, I'm Sabu. And he said, all right. And I said, I wanted some money and he gave it to me. And then when I came in, Paul Heyman goes, what are you doing here? And he goes, well, since you're here, I got a mask for you. You know, like we happened to be in the same place at the same time. It wasn't a plan or a booking that he booked me. It was a plan he wanted later on, but it happened that day, and that became ECW. You know.
Mm-hmm. And you were wheeled out that night by 911, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you have any type of relationship with him other than business, or no?
No, he was okay in the dressing room, but outside of that, no.
Oh, okay. So you guys were put together by Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So how long exactly? So you started with ECW in 93. Then you didn't continue with them all the way through the end. You left and came back, right?
Yeah. I left. I went to WCW for a little while, for a couple months, and I came back, and then I left again.
Where did you leave for the second time?
What's that?
Where did you leave for the second time?
Well, I left because I had a secret meeting with WCW, and Paul Heyman found out. So that's why I left. He was an asshole to me.
Those secret meetings, bro, they always get you in trouble.
Is Paul Heyman an asshole?
It wasn't that secret.
Is Paul Heyman an asshole?
Nah, I mean, yes and no. He's a genius more than he's an asshole, but yeah, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, I feel sometimes in order to be a genius, you got to be a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah, he's very eccentric. He's as smart as a whip. He's one of the smartest people I know. I mean, he's fucking smart as a whip. He's a genius.
Now, as far as wrestling booking, where would you rank him? Up at the top?
Yeah, very top. Right, that's where he's at now. He's the top booker at WWE right now, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I've always enjoyed any show that I've ever heard that Paul Heyman had control of. I've enjoyed.
And he plays that asshole persona up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he's such a fibber that he'll lie to you just to get a few moments peace, and then he knows you're going to find out moments later. He don't care. He still lie to you. You know. He's always thought he always thinks he's smarter than everybody, and he is. And so when he tells a lie, that's more interesting than the truth, because the truth bores him.
So another thing I wanted to get into about your days in ECW specifically is, you know, you, Rob Van Dam, Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, those are some of the household names that come with the remembrance of ECW. But in your mind, who are some of the stars that were overlooked in building that brand? Some underrated guys that really put in a lot of work?
The Pit Bulls, you know, Gary Wolf. A lot of guys are overlooked. You know, Hack Myers. You know, he was real good and he got overlooked. You know, I don't know. A lot of guys, I can't think of too many guys come to mind, but there's quite a few guys that got overlooked.
Yeah.
They just didn't fit in. What? Oh, Louis Piccoli, yeah. He didn't fit in quite. I tried.
Yeah. Did you have a relationship with John Cronus at all from the Eliminators?
Very little, just in the dressing room.
Just in the dressing room?
Yeah.
As far as a performer, how did you feel about him?
He was a good worker. He was flaky in the dressing room and flaky before the match and flaky after the match, but during the match he was really good.
Yeah.
We know him.
We knew him personally. One of our friends. That's his father. Yeah.
We never knew him, but we're friends with his son.
Oh, right on. Well, he was flaky in the dressing room, but he was great in the ring.
So other than that, anybody? One guy that I think was, especially toward the end of the year, is just incredible. I think he played a great role in solidifying ECW as a household name.
Oh yeah. Definitely. BJ is a big part of it, and he's got my respect. He's one of the best workers I've ever worked.
Mm-hmm. I think when I was a kid, he was definitely one of my favorite non-WWE stars. Just incredible.
He was a WWE guy. He was when he started the WWE guy. It's Portuguese Man of War, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It's kind of like what you see now. You see some guys that are like big stars in these other companies, maybe like AEW, TNA, and they always have some old video of them getting jobbed out on Velocity for WWE.
Yeah. Of course, they keep those.
Yeah. So anybody in ECW that you would say you really enjoyed when you got the chance to work with?
Yeah, your favorite to work with?
Yeah, one of the guys I don't mention enough is One Man Gang. He was great to work with. He was awesome. But, you know, Rob, of course, is my favorite to work with. You know, I trained him, so it makes him easy to work, I guess. But, yeah, with Rob and One Man Gang.
So how's your relationship with Rob Van Dam from back then till now?
We're still close. We talk every couple of days.
Oh, nice. That's
We're
cool.
still close. We both live in Las Vegas. He lives on the other side of town now.
How do you feel about his character recently, what he's been doing with TNA?
Don't ask me that. I don't dig it.
All right, you don't got to tell me twice.
I don't dig it, but it's none of my business. I don't correct him. He's old enough.
Yeah. Now he's also ventured into a CBD business too, right?
Oh yeah, he's got a RVD CBD, and if you use the Sabu code, you get a 10% off.
Oh, everybody, you hear that? RVD CBD. Use code Sabu, you get 10% off. We're weed smokers ourselves on this podcast.
Yeah, I got a GoFundMe going for Super Genioso.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we're gonna put that at the end. We'll drop the link and everything.
Right on.
So, moving on from your time in ECW, personally, I think WWE definitely messed up the invasion angle with WCW and ECW around 2001. But in 2005, when they brought ECW One Night Stand to the table, that was a great event. What do you think?
I agree. That first invasion I had nothing to do with. The One Night Stand, a couple of them I did have something to do with, and they all turned out pretty good.
What do you remember about that One Night Stand?
What's that?
Like, what do you think when you think of that One Night Stand? Like, what's like something that pops out? Obviously, your match. But like, what is there anything else that stands out to you about that One Night Stand specifically?
No, not really. Other than those, packed house of our fans, not WWE fans. They're all ECW fans, and that was great to see.
Mm-hmm. The crowd was legitimately hostile.
Yeah, it was a fun event.
That was warm to work in front of it. It was like a warm feeling.
Do you remember much about your match that night with Rey Mysterio?
Oh yeah, I liked it a lot. He's a hell of a worker. I've never had a bad match or a bad interaction with him. Even in the dressing room, he's as cool as a cucumber.
Yep. We actually watched that match last night in preparation for this interview. Number one, I think it was one of the best matches on the card. Two, I wanted to ask you about the finish. Was that a worked finish, or did something actually happen there with you and Ray when you did the DDT?
They wanted a double knockout. I didn't tell them what it was going to be, because if I would have told them it was that, they would have not did it because it looked too dangerous. But yeah, that was supposed to be a double knockout, but they got mad at me because I didn't lay down and get carried out on a stretcher. I laid out enough to lose, to throw the match out. But then when I started kind of walking back, staggering, they were mad. I should have been taken out on my back. But I disagree. A bump like that will slow me down. That won't stop me.
I agree completely. I thought that your cell stumbling on the way out with those guys holding you up was perfect. I think if they would have took you out on a stretcher, it would have been too much.
Well, yeah, and I was trying to make it look like I was resisting, but I wasn't,
Yeah.
I was
going the way they did a good job of it. And the DDT was awesome. That was a great DDT to the table. Perfect execution.
Another spot in that match I wanted to ask you about, the first table that you guys set up, you came over the rope and then Ray came off the table and you jumped into the barricade. Was that planned, or was there just a little?
That was the tease it. I wanted to tease it. So when he got off the table, I was gonna jump next to him, and he's supposed to move. I hit the guardrail. That was just to tease it for later on. That way, I had the table set up. My table's already set up, and later on, I'll come back to it.
Yep, perfect, man.
Yeah, I set that up 5 or 10 minutes before the finish.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was a pretty short match, only about 15 minutes in total.
Yeah, that's all they gave us. They were picky with that.
Yeah,
they didn't want to give us that.
And that was think about that. They gave you 15 minutes. It was a World Heavyweight Championship match.
Yeah, it was.
Sabu, I'll tell you this, bro. I would have loved to see you with that Gold Heavyweight Championship around your waist.
Yeah, that would have been cool, but I knew that wasn't going to happen, and I just wanted to have a good match. I didn't have to beat nobody. Just had to do good.
Yeah, understandable. I could see that being in Vince McMahon's company. You don't think he's ever going to put the heavyweight championship on you?
No, no. Although he did say that I was better than he thought, and I was way better than everybody else. He did say that. He said it like to my face. So he liked my work. He just didn't like my business, I guess.
Yeah, that is something I think about you. I think sometimes you get thrown a little bit too much into the extreme barbed wire category when you can really do a lot of great work in the ring.
Well, when I started wrestling, my name was Terry SR, which meant Terry Nobody. My first 5 years was Terry Nobody, and all I did was first match stuff. I didn't leave the ring. I didn't go to the top rope. I barely did a drop kick, but I did first match stuff. So when I elevated, when I became Sabu, I was already good at that. Now I'm going to build a character. I already had my basics. So I learned the basics pretty solid. I learned them in junior high and high school with amateur wrestling, and I learned them with my uncle.
Your uncle, the original Sheik, right?
Yes. And the guys that are great, they're good at their basics.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that a lot with all the greats, that they're very good at just the fundamentals.
Yeah, the hand-to-hand headlock. If you got a bad headlock, you don't deserve to do a moonsault. Headlock is one of the first things you learn, and if you got a bad headlock, then you got to make it so don't have a bad headlock.
Yeah, after going back and watching some of your matches in preparation for this interview, the thing that comes to my mind is I don't think you get enough credit when it comes to how much you've influenced this current generation of high-flying, dive to the outside type wrestlers.
I see it. But, I'm sorry.
People talk a little more about like the Jeff Hardys, the Rey Mysterios of the world, but you were doing the same thing at the same level.
No, well, they had a bigger stage. They had stronger TV, and they had Vince McMahon behind them. You know, I didn't. And I wasn't, when I was there, I jumped off the chair one time. And they said, you can't do that. I go, why not? They go, that's Jeff Hardy's spot. I said, but I invented it. He goes, but not here you didn't. So it don't matter what I did before. Anything they did, through there, it's theirs. It don't belong to me no more. I couldn't even break a table when I wanted. You know, they picked and win when I broke a table, and most of the time they didn't.
See, but I feel like you said like you didn't have Vince McMahon behind you, you didn't have the TV spot, but I still feel like you're a household name when it comes to wrestling. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people know who Sabu is when you tell them.
Yeah, I guess, but that doesn't. But a lot of people know me don't pay the bills that much.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, that's completely understandable.
You see, my Twitter is only like 6 or 7 or 8,000, and my Instagram is like 9,000. That means, you know.
Yeah, we gotta get this guy verified. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Twitter, this guy's a legend. Come on now.
Who do I gotta blow?
We gotta find out. It ain't us.
What's the guy's name? Jack Dorsey, I think is his name.
Jack Dorsey.
That's the owner of Twitter.
Executive order. Your next order of business is to get Sabu verified.
We need Sabu with that blue check.
And I bet your followers will go up 100,000.
Yeah, right on.
So then you did win the ECW championship, the WWE ECW championship at one point, correct?
No.
No, you did not?
No.
Or maybe I read you were supposed to at the December to Dismember event?
I was supposed to.
You're freezing up on me a little bit.
Like, what's that?
All right, you're all good now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah,
you're good.
I was supposed to wrestle Big Show for the belt, but he had a bad back and pulled out of it, so I never got that win over him. Like, I put him over 15 or 16 times, and I had to get that one win before we break up just to, you know, keep me active, and he didn't give it to me. He's a crybaby.
He's a crybaby?
Yeah, he's a big pussy.
Tell us more. That's what we're here for. We're here for the scoop. Give us
not
the full white
circumcised.
scoop.
Now go ahead. When needed, I'll bury him.
Okay. So I wanted to backtrack a little bit. You were talking about Vince McMahon. We kind of already asked you about how you feel about Paul Heyman. How do you feel about Vince McMahon? Sort of the same, that, you know, he's a great businessman, but maybe a little an asshole, or how do you feel? Yeah,
he's a big asshole, and he's not my biggest fan. He is a fan of wrestling, and he watches every match, you know, like some bitch, and you know, I respect him because he's the god of wrestling, but he's just not my god. You know, he is a god of wrestling, and what he says it draws money. What he says is big. What he does turns to gold.
Mm-hmm.
So what can I say? He's a very smart man. Wish I was that smart.
But I'm sure you thought his booking of the WWE ECW wasn't the right way to go.
No, but that wasn't him. That was the people who worked for him, and he let them do it. They did up all the bad ideas, and he just said okay to them. He didn't. It wasn't him. They actually told him what they wanted him to do: to act stupid with that do-rag and act like he's the champion, or act stupid while he's the champion. That was told to him to do. He didn't do that all on his own. He wasn't acting like a dumbass on his own. He was doing it because they told him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he listened. You know, he listens.
Yeah, and we know how that turned out.
Yeah, but you know, Vince is a professional all the way, 100% a professional.
Yeah,
he you know, he goes all out no matter what he does in front of that camera.
Definitely, that's why he's so successful.
Exactly.
You know, whatever you want to say about him, he's given his all to the business that he's created.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. So where do you think that version of ECW would have ended up if a little more of the creative control was put into the hands of Paul Heyman and you guys, the ECW originals?
I don't know. I would think, because see, we had to run shows with SmackDown. Half the show was SmackDown, half the show was ECW, and our TVs were half SmackDown, half ECW. I think if it would have gone the way, you know, more real ECW, it could have held its own. We wouldn't need all these other guys to help us. Like, they sent Big Show and Kurt Angle over to make us so we had bigger names, but people didn't want to see those guys in those kind of matches.
I didn't.
Oh, you did?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I didn't. You know, I wanted to see the ECW lineup. You know what I mean?
For one, you know they're not going to try that hard.
Yeah.
Of course.
So you're saying, like, if you got like a Wednesday night time slot on TV solely for ECW, it would have performed better if it didn't split with SmackDown?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
A 2-hour show for ECW, just like SmackDown.
Yeah. Well, I'd say an hour is enough because we didn't have that many guys. But have them run it like it's our own show, really our own show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think an hour would have been perfect. An hour would have been perfect.
Yeah. So moving to very current day wrestling, are you watching much of it? Or
I watch, but I don't study it. But I look, I go through the channels.
Have you watched or heard anything about the recent exploding barbed wire match between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega?
No, was it good?
Well, it was a great match. It was a great match. As far as, just like you said, the technicals, the basics, all the way through to the finish. Great match. But the problem that a lot of people have with it is that it was the main event of their pay-per-view, which was also a great pay-per-view in general. But when the ring exploded at the end, it was a bad explosion. 4 sparklers went off in the corner, and that was it. And that's what the lasting image of the event was.
Yeah, I seen the sparklers.
Yeah. So would you say like that's crucial when it comes to those kind of matches, what you leave the fans with at the end, more than the content of the whole match?
I don't know. They needed a big finish. After all they did, they needed something to top everything, and they didn't do it. It's hard to leave it on that note, but that was the plan. To top everything, and it didn't top for some reason.
See, but I feel like if you're like a hardcore wrestling fan, if you get a great match, it's fine for just a normal ending because you watched a great match. You don't need this big show at the end to draw your attention. You know what I mean? If you had a good match, that should just leave the wrestling fan, leaving happy.
Yeah, exactly. Except for they had a good match with a lot of extras, and the extras fucked up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
So going all the way back to your days in barbed wire matches, specifically Born to be Wired 97 with Terry Funk at the ECW arena, just like we mentioned earlier. How did you feel going into that match? Was that your first ever barbed wire match? Had you participated in them before that night?
No, it was my 80th barbed wire match. But the thing was, Paul, I called that match because Paul wanted to beat Terry Funk before our big pay-per-view the following week. But I didn't really want to do it. But I figured in the barbed wire match, he's not going to lose no steam. So we did it in the barbed wire match. We gave the people unannounced barbed wire match. Out of the blue, we gave them a barbed wire match. They didn't know they were going to get it. And it turned out, more historical than I thought it was going to. And they're still talking about it.
Yeah. Now that was the match. Go ahead.
Forgot what I was getting at.
Now that was the match where your new book is called Scar Silence Superglue, correct?
Yes.
Now that was the match where the superglue comes from, right? Your bicep was torn.
No, not exactly. I had cuts in Japan on my first barbed wire match. That's where the superglue came from. But what happens to my arm was I taped it during the match. I taped it, but that ain't where the superglue came from. The superglue came 10 years before that.
Oh, okay. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you end up in that situation where you had to super glue yourself?
Where'd you get the idea?
Well, my first barbed wire match, I had some bad cuts on me, and I had to wrestle the next night. So instead of going to the hospital, I'd been there all night. I crazy glued it because I've heard about it before, and I've done it once or twice before that. But I crazy glued them, and they held. The only thing is, when I wrestled every night, they broke open. So a couple of them got infected, and I was getting a bad rap saying, "Yeah, I used crazy glue, it got infected." No, I used crazy glue, it got infected because I wrestled every night. But anyways, I've heard that somewhere, and so when I first had the barbed wire matches, instead of going to the hospital, I used them. I used glue, and it worked. Like I said, it worked.
Yeah, it worked, but then the wrestling afterward is what caused the infection. So the super glue did its job.
Right, exactly. But when I cut my arm in the barbed wire match against Terry Funk, I got 150 stitches in the dressing room, and when it happened, it sliced my bicep, and I was taping my arm so it wouldn't roll up into my shoulder, and I was taping it to cut the circulation off because I was losing a lot of blood. I actually thought I might, maybe pass out from the loss of blood, but then it came back.
Really?
Yeah.
That match was crazy, man. Your pants were all ripped up, arms bleeding everywhere, taping it together.
Yeah.
What are some memories you have with Terry Funk?
He's a great guy. I have great memories of him, especially when I was a kid and meeting him at my uncle's house. And when I went to Texas, I stayed at his house, a few times, and he's like a godfather, I would say.
Now I have a question real quick. I mean, we touched on it a little bit just a minute ago, but like wrestling today, you said you watch it, but you don't study it. What do you feel like? What do you think of like the new class of wrestlers today? Do you think they put in as much like time and effort as guys maybe back in your day when you guys were coming up?
They put in a lot of effort, but it looks to me like they're trying to one up each other instead of trying to make a dive part of a match. They make a dive or something, really extreme, not part of the match, and they force it in the match. Even if it don't fit, they force it just to get it in. And I think it looks bad. And that someone's got to say, who's diving tonight? Okay, you dive, no one else. But they don't say that, I guess. They don't care who dives. It makes a dive or a moonsault look ordinary. And it is not ordinary. Everybody does them. They don't mean shit.
Mm-hmm. Now, like you also see like these grand stages, of Monday Night Raw. Everything's lights and explosions. ECW was just you guys wrestling pretty much. It was you guys in an arena, and you guys are putting on all the entertainment. There was no added bonuses. There was no fireworks going off. There was nothing like
hardcore wrestling means no fancy lights, no fireworks. There's enough lighting to see the match and blood and guts.
Yep, exactly. And to me, I find that way more entertaining because I don't watch wrestling anymore as like I used to. When I was a kid, I used to watch it a ton because I felt like it was kind of in between where Raw is war and ECW and WCW were, and like this new age right now. It was like in between. It was just going there. You know what I mean? That's when I was into it.
Right on. I agree.
Perfect, my man. So one of the last couple, we're wrapping up here soon. One of the last couple things I wanted to talk to you about is your book, number 1, Scars, Silence, and Superglue. Anything you want to tell the fans about that before we get you out of here?
Just my autobiography, and I guess buy it before I take it off the market because I'm going to cancel it.
You're doing limited number of copies?
Yes, limited.
I
don't like reading my story in print. To me, I don't know. I don't like reading what I say in print.
Now, do you write it all yourself, or do you submit this to a company?
Kenny Casanova. He wrote it. I just told my stories. He put it together. He did Kamala's and Van Vader's. Big Van Vader. He did a couple of those, and he's a good writer. He's better than I am, of course. Of course, I didn't write nothing. That's why they said it's typical of the spelling grammar, the misspelling. But I didn't misspell it. He did.
Now you think he did it on purpose?
They think I misspelled it. No, he didn't. He misspelled it. Shit happens.
All right, so everybody make sure you go grab that book, Scars, Silence, and Superglue by Sabu. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think I might have heard in an interview I was watching of you that you're going to be releasing another book after this?
Well, I did. It's a half joke. It's a coloring book, a children's coloring book, but it's Sabu versus the Three Little Pigs, and it's a extreme color book, extreme coloring book. I'm serious.
Hilarious.
All right, I'll be sure to flash a link of that up there for you. And finally, talk a little bit about a very important thing, very close to you, the fundraiser you have for Super Genie, Melissa.
Yeah, she recently, in October, she lost her left leg, and from the knee down, and so we're doing a GoFundMe to get her a bionic leg, and if you could please donate, please do it. If you can't, that's okay.
Right. Everybody, you hear that? We'll drop the link in the description, as well as we'll put it right here above on the video. So head down the description, click that link, and make sure to send a donation over to Super Genie. Help these guys out.
If you can't, just forward it.
Thank you. Share it, please. Share the link.
Yep. Share the link. All right, Sabu. Anything else you want to let the people know before you go?
No, not really. Just that I'll see them in Tampa WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, you'll be down there?
Yeah.
At the event or at like a event
before the event? I'm not actually going to the WrestleMania, but I'm gonna be in town.
Oh, okay. Well, Sabu's gonna be in town at WrestleMania if you're gonna be down there. Well, listen, man, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much for extending your hand out to us. Your presence on here is definitely gonna get us a little more publicity for our podcast. Right. And we both think you're a legend, that you deserve much more respect in the game of wrestling, and we hope you get it. I think it's coming.
Hey, what do you know? You guys weren't even born when I was.
We've watched a lot.
Well, think about that. We weren't even born when you started, and we love you that much. Yeah, that's how much of an impact you left, bro. Wow. And honestly, a lot of the legendary wrestlers are being brought back into the light and getting their shine, and I think you deserve it. If anybody sees this this is a guy that's slipping through the cracks right now. This is a guy that needs his respect.
Gold mine.
Right on, brothers. Thank you.
All right, man.
Sabu.
Thank you. Oh, I love it.
Right on. Thank you.
Take care.